Here's two very general points about child development. One is that kids need a lot of play, especially unsupervised play, where if there's a conflict, there's no playground monitor to come in. So kids need a lot of unsupervised play, and we've deprived them of that since the 1990s. So principle number one, give your kids a lot more unsupervised time. Begin slow with little bits, and then as they earn it, you give them more and more. And I recommend to any parents listening, if you've got kids in the 6 to 10-year-old age range, get the Gizmo watch. It's a watch that allows your kid to make phone calls to 3 numbers, no texting, and you can also track it on your map. Once you have that, you'll feel much more comfortable sending your kid out to go to the store, to go out to play with friends in a park. I got that for my daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, for her 9th birthday. And right away, then she wanted to go out, and we felt comfortable sending her out. In New York City, she could go a few blocks away and get bagels. She can go to the park with her friends. So that gave us the peace of mind to let her be self-supervising so that she can learn. And now she feels very comfortable crossing streets, going into stores, talking with people. Those are essential skills. So that's
big.
one.
9 years old in New York City. That's a smart move.
Well, but my parents grew up in New York City. They were taking the subway before then. They were much more mobile, and there was probably more crime or danger in the 1930s than there is now. So that's one, is your kids have to get a lot more free play time, unsupervised time, and it's going to be scary. But that happened to me and my wife. Like the first time we let her out, like our hearts were in our mouth. Like, will she come back? But an amazing thing happens, as with all phobias. The way you get over a phobia is by gradual exposure, and when nothing happens, your fear subsides. And so now we're very comfortable letting her out, and we can see her growing. We can see her becoming more independent. Yeah. So that's one principle. The second principle is that social media is not like normal play. When it first came out, we thought maybe it is. We thought, okay, kids are hyper-connecting with each other, huge amounts of social experience. And I remember thinking, wow, for all we know, they'll turn into superhumans. Their social skills could be so developed because of this hyperstimulation. So that could have been the case, but it now appears it's not. So, so Greg and I are saying, give your kids a lot less supervision and protection in the physical world, but we are saying give them a lot more restriction in the virtual world. And we think this is because the evidence shows huge rise in depression and anxiety, self-harm. It comes in just at the time that social media comes in, and we're curating these lit reviews showing that that social media does appear to play a causal role. A lot of correlational studies show heavy users are doing much worse, but correlation is not causation. 5 experiments have been done, all 5 find an effect. So we're confident in saying that there is some effect. We're debating with some other researchers how big the effect is, but there is an effect of social media on mental health. When I talk with Gen Z and I ask them, okay, you're all on social media, you've all been on since you were 10 or 11 years old. Would you say that being publicly shamed and the sort of stuff that happens on social, would you say that's toughened you? Would you say it's made you stronger? Like you don't care what people think about you now? Would you say it's made you more afraid? That it's made you more hesitant to express yourself? And overwhelmingly, they say the latter. They say it's made them more fearful. So send your kids out to play, and they will sometimes scrape their legs, and that will actually be good for them. But don't send your 10-year-olds into social media where they'll get involved in outrage mobs and they'll get shamed and all these things. They're going to make them weaker and more depressed.
So keep them off until later years or monitor.
Keep them entirely off until later years. So when you and I were kids, we talked on the phone with our friends. Kids want to talk to each other. That's fine. That's direct private communication. And now they text. As far as I know, that's fine. What's really bad, especially for girls, is communicating in ways where I don't actually care about you. I'm talking to the audience, and I'm counting what the audience thinks. That's really bad for kids. So the official age in which you're allowed to open an account is 13. People need to understand that has nothing to do with safety. Congress passed a law in the late 1990s when they had to deal with at what age can kids open an account. And the original goal was 16, they thought, but in negotiations and pressure from the platforms, they lowered it from 16 to 13. This was just about at what age companies can use the data from a minor, from an under 18 person. And so they got it pushed down to 13. Has nothing to do with safety. So the current age is 13, but kids get on it. My daughter's 9. Her friends are beginning to get on Instagram. In fourth grade that started. So there's no excuse for letting 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds on. They should simply not be on. And personally, I think that the age should be raised. But for now, I would be happy if we could just get it out of middle school. That's my goal. Create a norm so that every principal of a middle school can say to the parents, I can't tell you what to do, but I urge you, don't let your kid have Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, any of those. Don't let them do it. It puts pressure on all the other parents because what we're finding is very few parents want their kids on these things. But the kid comes to you and says, Mom, everyone else is on. If you don't let me have an Instagram account, I'll be excluded. And then we thought, oh no, I don't want you to be excluded. Okay, you can go on too. And of course, many of the kids aren't even asking. They just lie when they're 10 and get an account. So I think we have to get a handle on underage social media in particular.
So middle school is up to 15, 14, 15.
Around 14. So 8th grade in the United States, 8th graders are around 13, 14 years old.
Okay, so try to hold off until then.
Yeah, because it's not an individual thing, it's a group thing. And the middle school is the worst time of life. Like almost everybody agrees, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, these are the worst years of life. And it's so awkward, and there is a lot of bullying. And social media just intensifies all of that. So why? And what's the benefit to having 6th graders on Instagram?